Have you ever spent more time scrolling through Netflix than actually watching something? Or stood in the supermarket aisle staring at 50 different kinds of cereal and just felt paralyzed? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. This feeling has a name, the paradox of abundance, also known as the paradox of choice. It's the weird, counterintuitive idea that having more options can actually make us feel less free, more stressed, and ultimately less satisfied with our decisions. Let's break it down. For decades, the common belief was simple: more choice equals more freedom, and more freedom equals more happiness. It makes sense, right? If you want to buy a pair of jeans, having 200 styles to choose from seems way better than having just two. This idea was the engine of modern consumer culture. Supermarkets expanded, online stores offered endless catalogs, and dating apps promised a sea of potential partners. We were told this explosion of options was the peak of personal liberty, but here's where the paradox kicks in. Psychologists like Barry Schwartz started noticing something strange. While a certain amount of choice is definitely good, once you cross a certain threshold, the benefits start to disappear. In fact, they can even turn into negatives. Instead of feeling liberated, we start to feel overwhelmed. Let's go back to those jeans. With two options, your decision is simple. You pick the one that fits better. With 200 options, the game changes. You've got to consider the fit, the wash, the cut, the brand, the price, the material. The mental effort required to weigh every single variable becomes exhausting. This is what we call analysis paralysis. The sheer volume of information to process is so huge that we freeze up. We might end up making a random choice just to get it over with, or worse, making no choice at all and walking away empty-handed. Have you ever abandoned an online shopping cart because picking a final item was just too much work? That's analysis paralysis in action, but the trouble doesn't stop once you finally make a decision. The next problem is opportunity cost. When you choose one thing, you are, by definition, not choosing all the other things. With only a few alternatives, the opportunity cost is low and easy to ignore. But when you pick one pair of jeans out of 200, you're actively rejecting 199 other pairs. Your brain starts to wonder, what if one of those other pairs was a little bit better? A little more comfortable, a little more stylish. The features of the options you didn't choose loom large in your mind, creating a nagging sense of regret. This leads directly to the third issue, escalating expectations. When you have a ton of options, you naturally expect to find the perfect one. If a store has every style imaginable, your brain tells you that the ideal pair of jeans must be in there somewhere. Your job is to find it. This sets an impossibly high bar. So when you finally get your chosen pair home, it's almost guaranteed to fall short of that idealized perfection. It might be a great pair of jeans, but it's not the flawless, life-changing pair you imagined. The result, you feel disappointed, even if your choice was objectively a good one. You end up less satisfied with your great choice than you would have been with a good choice from a much smaller selection. Think about it in other areas of life, career paths, for example. In the past, career options were often more limited by geography, family, or education. Today, the internet tells us we can be anything, work from anywhere, and switch careers at any time. It sounds amazing, but it also creates immense pressure to find the perfect job that's not just a job, but a calling, a passion, and a source of deep personal fulfillment. This pressure can make us constantly question our current path and feel like we're failing if our job is just a job. Or consider relationships. Dating apps present us with a seemingly infinite stream of potential partners. On one hand, it's an incredible tool for meeting new people. On the other, it can foster a disposable mindset. If a date is good but not perfect, the temptation is to just swipe again, convinced that a better match is just around the corner. This constant search for the ideal can prevent us from investing in and building a real, imperfect, but wonderful relationship with the person right in front of us. So, are we doomed to a life of choice-induced anxiety? Not at all. The key isn't to eliminate choice, but to manage it. We need to become what Barry Schwartz calls satisficers, not maximizers. A maximizer is someone who feels compelled to examine every single option to ensure they are making the absolute best possible choice. They're the ones reading every online review, comparing every spec sheet, and agonizing over every detail. They might eventually find that objectively best option, but the stress and time invested often leave them feeling less happy with their choice. A satisficer, on the other hand, has a different approach. They have a set of criteria and standards in their mind. They search for an option that meets those standards, one that is good enough. Once they find it, they stop looking and make their choice. They don't worry about the possibility that a slightly better option might exist out there. And research shows that satisficers are consistently happier, more optimistic, and more satisfied with their lives than maximizers. How can we become more like satisficers? First, we can consciously limit our own choices. Instead of browsing all of Amazon, decide to only look at 3 well-regarded brands. Instead of swiping endlessly, decide to focus on getting to know a few people you've matched with. Give yourself a time limit for making a decision. Say, I will spend 15 minutes choosing a movie, and then I will watch whatever I've picked. Second, we can lower our expectations. Aim for good enough instead of perfect. Perfection is a myth that will only lead to disappointment. Appreciate a good outcome for what it is, rather than worrying about a hypothetical better one. If you buy a new phone and it does everything you need it to do, that's a win. Don't torture yourself by reading reviews of a model that came out a week later. Third, practice gratitude. Once you've made a choice, focus on the positive aspects of it. Be grateful for the good features of the jeans you bought, the enjoyable parts of the movie you watched, or the positive qualities of the person you're dating. This simple mental shift can dramatically increase your satisfaction. And finally, make some decisions irreversible. We often think keeping our options open is a good thing, but it can be a trap. It allows that what-if voice to linger forever. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is make a decision and commit to it. Burn the bridges. This frees up mental energy and allows you to move forward and invest fully in the path you've chosen. The paradox of abundance is a fundamental challenge of modern life. We are swimming in a sea of options, and it's easy to feel like we're drowning. But by understanding the psychology behind it, we can learn to navigate these waters. We can choose to be satisficers, to set our own limits, and to find contentment in good enough. The goal isn't to have the most choices, but to make good choices that allow us to live a happier and more fulfilling life. Freedom isn't about having an infinite menu. It's about having the wisdom to choose a dish you lines enjoy and then savoring every bite. Thanks so much for watching. If this idea resonated with you, let me know in the comments about a time you felt overwhelmed by choice. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos that help us understand our own minds a little better. See you in the next one.